All right, good people. One more video before I head off to bed. Oh, good Lord. What do I do to myself between these videos that causes my hair to stand on end? Maybe it's the shitty evidence that I'm seeing in the Brendan Dassey and Stephen Avery case. Because seriously, you watch the documentary and then you start going through some of the case documents, and all of a sudden, your hair is standing on end because you're going, wow. But I wanted to, offer some commentary on this latest development in Stephen Avery's and Brendan Dassey's case, and that is the new attorneys that will be representing both of them. And thank goodness, because Brendan Dassey basically had exhausted his right to a state attorney, and now they've got some pretty big power on their side. I'm pretty encouraged with these attorneys. Now, so far, the lead attorney has declined to make a statement, but she did release a small little tidbit stating that she has found new evidence, and that the new evidence may point to whoever erased those phone messages as having had something to do with the killing. And I wanted to comment on that because the funny thing is that Teresa's brother stated that he accessed her voicemail by guessing her password, which just seemed weird to me. It just seemed weird. Like, first of all, why would you fucking check her voice messages and erase some of them when she's a missing person? You hand that phone over to the police and say, here. Or, not. You give them the number and the password, and you say, look, I guessed my sister's password. Here's her password. Here's, check her phone messages. You don't go in there and erase shit. And I don't know if her brother did or didn't. I really don't know. I just know that something seemed very off about that. But what really got me about the brother, and more specifically the ex-boyfriend? I found it very interesting that when they were talking to the press about the search party and how it wound up finding Teresa Halbach's car, if you watch this thing, it's really weird. At first the brother's kind of, off camera. He's standing next to the ex-boyfriend, but he's like a little back and you can't really see him. And then he moves forward, and the boyfriend is talking, the ex-boyfriend's talking, and you can tell he's a real smooth operator. I have met many of your type in my time, mister. And yeah, hi player, I'm the coach. Welcome to the game. And he's sort of giving this very, it seems very clipped and very rehearsed statement to the press about the finding of Teresa Halbach's car. And then the brother is sort of standing there and like glancing at him and, nodding his head. And every now and then he'll spew out like a little confirmation. And then the press directly asks the brother some questions, and watch his body language. Body language never lies, people. It never, ever lies. Watch his body language. He's sort of turning, when they start addressing him, he turns his body upwards towards the boyfriend. And he like keeps glancing at him as he's talking, like for confirmation. And you know what image came into my head? I don't know how many of you remember the old Looney Tunes cartoons, but if you'll remember, there were these two dogs, Butch, and I don't remember the other one's name, but Butch was like a little tiny dog. And the other one was a really big dog, but the really big dog was like the little one's sidekick. And every time he did something, he was, I did good, Humplitch. I did good. We's pals, Humplitch. And that was the image that came into my head watching these two Yutz brothers. I was just like, why are you glancing at him every 5 seconds or so with this terrified expression in his eyes? Almost like there was something he was hiding. And where the fuck is the roommate in all this? Like, you see the roommate once. And first of all, what is a female doing with a male roommate? That ex-boyfriend has the very look of an abuser. And I don't know. I would hate to speculate on what I think went down there. But I started reading the DNA analysis report. And in this report, for whatever reason, there were rocks from a nearby quarry that had been tested for DNA. And turns out that this quarry is where some of Teresa's bones were found. Brendan Dassey, in one of his statements, explains this away. Sorry, just checking my time. Explains this away by saying that at one point, Steven Avery told him a few days after the murder that he had taken some of the burned bones from the fire pit and dumped them in the quarry, which doesn't make sense. If you were going to take the bones and dump them in the quarry to get rid of evidence against you, why wouldn't you take all the bones? All of them. You know, it's a fucking burn pit, for God's sakes. You could have covered the shit up and just said, you know, oh, well, I dug a new burn pit over here because that one got fucking full or some shit. I don't know. There are a million ways that could have explained it. There are so many different ways that Steven Avery could have gone about covering up a body that he burned in his burn pit without taking some of the bones and the ashes and dumping them in the quarry, but leaving the rest of them in his burn pit. It seems to me that the quarry is the primary kill site. I haven't read through the entire DNA analysis yet, and I haven't read through the entire report, so I will need to wait until I read that to fully say that. But at the very least, I do know that the quarry was the burn site. I can guarantee your ass that shit. Because what do they have at a quarry, people? Smelters. Yeah. The kind of smelters that can, like, I don't know, degrade the shit out of human bone. But at the quarry, they found some blood stains, and this is really telling. The blood stains that they found, the genetic material that they found at the quarry, were not consistent with Alan Avery, Brian Dassey. Why they only tested these three, I'll never know. But more importantly, the DNA evidence there was not consistent with Steven Avery. Period. He was excluded. But they were able to determine that it was a male. I think it's time to start swabbing some cheeks, baby. I will happily fly on out to Wisconsin and just walk around with a fucking fistful of Q-tips. Also, there was a fabric fragment from Chuck's couch that they tested that was also inconsistent with Alan Avery, Brian Dassey, or Steven Avery, but it was also a unknown male profile, but a different male profile from the one from the quarry. Now, I don't know anything about like doing it in conjunction. I don't know. All I'm saying is that it's really suspicious. It's something to look into, folks. And another thing, you know, I've talked a lot about prosecutor Ken Kratz. Oh, my favorite little leaping gnome. Seriously. He looks like a lawn gnome come to life. Just trying his hardest to be taken seriously, and then he pisses it into the wind. But what the fuck is with Ken Kratz sitting everybody down for a press conference immediately after Brendan Dassey's confession and laying out the entire series of events in a press conference? You don't do that when you're a prosecutor. You don't do that. That is bad business. You do not lay out, because what that does is it poisons the jury pool. And see, folks, I've always believed that, you know, this whole thing of a trial by your peers, it makes sense in theory until you remember that a trial of a jury by your peers means that they have no fucking idea how to interpret the evidence. We need to start having professional jurors, people whose only job is to sit there and listen to these trials and interpret the evidence properly. That's my vote here, people. I think we need to take that shit to President Sanders. Yeah, I fucking said it. All right, so that's my final video for the evening. I will talk to you all tomorrow after I've watched the 4th episode. If you have anything to add to this, please do, and we'll see you tomorrow. Thank you for watching.